when you work in mortgage and real estate, you find experts in every other industry and people swear by them. But then it comes to our field, and especially being a woman, I've had this happen many of times. You'll tell someone something, they will go ask their mom, sister, brother, dad.
Oh my gosh, you have the pre-approval done and you're showing them houses and you start the inspection process. They need everybody's opinion. I'm like, you're gonna be all confused.
I'm like
I
already told you, but like if you needed 5 opinions.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Merchant with SurePath Lending. Today I have my coworker Julia Spooner, and I also have Jasmine Andrade with the Andrade Group.
Hello guys, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So today we're going to talk about kind of being women in the finance space, mortgage space, real estate space, kind of what we've gone through being young women in the space, and kind of the struggles that we've gone through, talked about, and then how we come out stronger. So
yeah,
I feel like you've probably been in the space a little bit longer than
the rest of us
right now.
I'm going on 2 years, so I guess kind of getting up there.
Yeah.
I'm really a baby compared to everyone out there. Yeah, but it's been good. There is a big difference though that I've noticed, not just being a woman, but being younger.
Yeah.
I'm 23, so a lot of people do treat you like you are not capable of what they are just because of your age.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, being a girl.
I don't see the benefits of being young.
Yeah.
You know? I noticed too a lot. I went from teaching, which was a female-dominated career, to a male-dominated career, and that was a really big switch just in communication styles.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been only doing this for about a year, and they're similar to, you know, I'm still teaching in different ways, but it has been, you know, both industries are more male-dominated, and you know, I know the average loan officer age, I think, is 40 to 45. So,
wow.
And I feel like, too, when you switch careers, you often deal with, like, imposter syndrome. I don't know if y'all have felt that.
Yes.
But it's so weird because you know you're qualified and you can do the job and you can do the role, but something about just, like, going into a space that you've never been in before.
And teaching others about things that you've recently learned.
You're like, how am I here? But I think the best thing that I've ever heard from people is like, you wouldn't be in the room if you weren't supposed to be there. Yeah. But I always have to tell myself that because it doesn't always come back to my mind, and I have to remind myself, and I'm like, okay, you were sitting here this whole time and you're like, why am I even in this room? And then it's like, well, I wouldn't have been asked to be here if I shouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
But just overcoming that is really hard, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
How do you feel like you've done since, you know, your dad's been in the industry for a while, kind of filling his shoes?
Yeah, it was weird at first. And then I kind of, you know, because you always having my mom's a real estate agent too. She's been doing it for, you know, 12 years. So I felt like I knew about the industry. I always knew that I'd probably end up there somehow. I didn't think I'd end up here so quickly. I'm glad I did though. You know, starting over at 26, 25 is better than starting over later. And I actually get to help myself in the future and, you know, build wealth and learn about how to do that properly and teach others. But it's been definitely difficult getting yourself head on in the industry, also having, you know, my last name and knowing that there's other people in the industry that have been doing. So I feel like I've kind of had to be held at a higher standard to start, but, you know, looking at it positively, it's helped me grow faster and kind of put the drive into to want to, you know, represent my name properly. And
do you ever feel weird about, I mean, like I went to college for marketing and different stuff, but then I also did interior design. Yeah. And now I don't really dabble in that as much. You went to school for teaching and everything. And then you also went to school as well, but it wasn't for real estate. And so how do y'all feel about not saying not using the degree, but like you're using the skills that you might have learned in that degree, but not using the degree itself?
So I think having family in this industry. So for me, at first I graduated, went to college, didn't want anything to do with real estate because I was so like, I guess being in the car as a young kid,
all you hear is real estate.
All you hear is real estate, going with my mom to the showings, having to take care of my 2 siblings in the car. Like my little brother's crying. My sister's like, I want to go home, so I'm just there. And that was my entire childhood. So my mom's been in it for 20 plus years. So graduated high school, went into college, and I was like, I don't want anything to do real estate. And then mom's like, just try it. Just try it. You can't say you didn't like it and not try it. So then I went to school for it as well. And then even just there, people would come in and try to, get people to join their brokerages. So even then they were like, oh, you're Andrade. Like, I know your mom. I've worked with her. And I'm like, yeah. And then I know, it's so funny. And then so as soon as I started doing it with her, I was like, you know what? I really do like this. Like, I'll give it a shot. And it just took off for me. And then my sister and brother saw that I ended up loving it. So they went into it as well and love it also. So right now we're going on to, I think, a year of having an office, and it's been amazing. So
yeah. For me too. So I went to college. I went to the University of Arkansas and I did 4 years. I got my elementary education degree, and then I stayed another year and I got a master's degree in reading and dyslexia. And I think that year is really what helped me with this job, even though they don't necessarily relate, they do, because, I've been working a lot with first-time home buyers. And most of the time, first-time home buyers really don't know what they're doing. They don't know about credit. They don't know about, savings and how much they have to put down. So I've been able to use, I taught first grade, so a lot of patience there. a lot of patience with 24 little ones. And honestly, with talking with first-time homebuyers, it almost feels like I'm talking to, younger kids.
Because they're scared and they have all the questions.
They have so many questions at the most random hours of the day.
Yeah, 9 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock at night. And
what's my down payment going to be?
Yeah. And they ask a lot of the same questions again, so you're repeating yourself a lot. And so I noticed that those skills of, patience when I was teaching 25 or 24, 7-year-olds to teaching adults that has correlated. But I think school too, grad school was so, busy. I was working all day and then up till midnight writing papers. Taught me the organization and being able to compartmentalize that I didn't necessarily use while I was teaching as much because they were little and I was teaching them how to add, with intent. Here, now I know how to compartmentalize, my feelings when people are upset or excited.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I feel like in this space, emotions are heavily driving people's thoughts and opinions when they're speaking to you.
Yeah.
And so it's hard you have to know sometimes when they come at you sideways or whatever, they're coming from a place of they don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like in the moment you feel like they're yelling at you, but it's they just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
And how I relate that back to teaching too, because when I first left teaching, I was like, oh man, I'm not going to use my degree. And then I realized how much I ended up actually using my degree, that, I dealt with parents. So I had parents coming at me, most of the time not mad, but, protecting their child was the same thing here. It's people coming at you, protecting their, money and assets and not,
their finances,
their finances, and trying to understand why they have to, do what they do and have to get their credit pulled and, what closing costs are and all those different things. So it's also helped me realize we're talking about being women in the field. Sometimes people just prefer to work with men and sometimes people just prefer to work with women. So I've recognized too with couples a lot, it's always good to have a little backup. You have your brother. It's, we have other men in the office where it's just oh, I know that this person is who you need to talk to, and then I will talk to your wife. Or sometimes it's vice versa. They prefer working with a woman because we're a little calmer. We can understand emotions a little better sometimes.
I think some of them just want it transactional too sometimes, and they might assume that we can't be transactional, but
just have to know your space and who you're dealing with.
And you can usually read the buyer or the seller kind of what they want once you have that initial conversation. Yeah. But I feel too, we joke about, staying up till midnight and all of that. You want to have a everyone wants a 9 to 5, or they don't want a 9 to 5. And it's well, we don't have the 9 to 5, but we're working all hours of the day. Yeah. I feel the one thing that I'm struggling with right now, and I don't know if y'all are struggling with it too, is work-life balance. Everybody always wants to have work-life balance.
It's
and
so
especially in our
hard.
Yeah. with our age, it's hard because you want to go out, you want to hang out with friends, but then you also want to spend time, you know, with your significant other, whatever.
You'll be out getting some drinks or out with dinner with friends, and you get a client calling you, and it's 8 p.m. and you're like, hey guys, like, I'll be right back. Let me step outside and go get this. Yeah. So
do y'all ever feel like y'all significant others, like, how is it juggling? Because none of them work in the same space that we do. Like, it's not like your mom and dad both work kind of in that space, so they understand. Like, do y'all ever have like where?
Thankfully, Gabe's really understanding. He's just like, yeah, take it. Like, and he'll just listen to the conversation sometimes. He's just like looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, that's my client.
That's them.
Yeah. Like, I think I had a call 2 days ago. My client called me, and he was just asking all these questions, and it was like 10:30, and Gabe's like trying to, you know, he's like, what? And I'm like, let me just take this real quick. And I'm like having a full on conversation. I'm like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do next. Yeah. So schedule inspection tomorrow. Yeah. And then call me and we'll figure it out. And I'm just like, okay, have a good night.
Yeah. It's trying to figure out that balance too. Like what I'm trying to do is, you know, Amos, he's very understanding. I mean, he works the morning shift at his job. So he's at work at 4 a.m. So, you know, he goes to bed at 8 o'clock. So a lot of that time too, I'm, you know, if I answer calls, he's sleeping. So another thing too with that is like, I'm trying to find like, okay, you know, if we're in the middle of a contract, we're in the middle of a deal, like I will answer you at 8 o'clock, but you know, don't call me at 10 o'clock at night. I'm sorry. Like I will answer you when I wake up at 6 a.m. unless we're in this like, oh my God, something's happening. I will answer you 7 days a week. I will answer you first thing. And it's like,
than we are.
Yeah.
That's how I also promote myself outwards too. You know, a lot, like I was saying to you, a lot of loan officers, some of the complaints that I have when I've talked to realtors is they're like, you know, my loan officer, most people have, you know, 2-3 loan officers. And they're like, yeah, some of them, they won't answer on the weekends or they won't talk to me past 5. And I always promote myself and be like, hey, listen, I'm 26. I have no children. I have no other responsibilities. Like you can call me on the weekends.
I feel like that's all industries though, because there's realtors that won't answer. Like I had a showing and I had to reschedule and it was on a weekend and I could not get a hold of her. And I was just like, I'm outside the door right now. Like
there's a balance of appropriate and like, you know, answer the phone kind of thing. But
I feel like if it's like 5:05 and you're not answering the phone, I'm like, do I want to work with you? Not that, you know, people respect people have hard boundaries on that and people don't, but I'm kind of like, if you want to get a deal done,
sometimes,
it's situational.
Yeah, sometimes you have to answer the phone if there's something going on with the deal. So
and most all the time, I feel like I'm a let me see at least what it is sort of thing, and then if it's something that can wait, it might wait. But if it's something that, like you're saying, you're in the middle of a deal and needs to be done, like. You can't wait till Monday because you could lose. I mean, sometimes you can lose deals if you do that.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like on the lender side for me, like a lot of people too. And I'm sure you can attest that like a lot of the realtors that I work with, they're like, yeah, I have, you know, 2 or 3 because we don't want to be like, you know, you have to go with this person. So, you know, it's the importance of being on your phone and being able to, you know, one of mine, she goes, yeah, I send it out. I make 3 group message and whoever answers first is kind of how it works. And things like that. And, you know, sometimes you'll miss it because you're dealing with other things, but.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it too, because especially us being a team, we like to use the same people, but obviously like 4 agents can't be sending everything to one. It's really hard.
Force because when it comes to compliance issue. And
Well, and just time, like, if you don't have the time to do all of those too, like if you're getting all those.
And that's where communication comes. But
I feel like being in the mortgage and like real estate space right now, it's good to have like a girl group or like just a group in general that you can like work with and partner with. And I feel like having a partner is the best way to do deals nowadays, because when you come forward and you are the loan officer and the real estate agent together, you can answer all those questions before nothing else needs to be done. You can go and say everything right then and there. And they don't even have to come back to you, 2 days later and be like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like they already know from the get-go. Do you ever, I know you've partnered up with a couple of people, but how do you navigate that with your partners?
Like the lenders I work with?
Yeah.
I will say now, since I started working with like Julia and Daniel, it's so much easier because whoever's available, like they're the same brokerage. So I'm like,
and we all work together.
yeah, they all work together. So I'm like, hey, who's available? Here you go.
Yeah.
Like how I said, I thought Julia was getting married that weekend. So I'm like, Daniel, take this. They want to get pre-approved right now. And he's like, I'm calling them right now. And then he calls me perfect 6:30, I think. And I was like,
I think that one was a same day approval.
Yeah, it was.
I'm pretty sure
it was
the same day approval.
Yeah, I was so happy. I was like, oh, yes. And then I was like, I feel so bad, but Julia's getting married and I can't call her. And then I asked Kelsey, I'm like, hey, did she get married? She's like, no, she's at a wedding, but it's not hers. And I was like, imagine like, hey, get me this pre-approval before you walk down the aisle.
Yeah, and
like,
Have y'all seen those posts? We'll have to I want to insert a clip in here where it's the one where the girl's at her wedding with a laptop and
I literally reposted that the other day. I was like, you're getting married, but you're in real estate or something.
Yeah,
and it's
literally.
like the laptop open and she's in like her dress.
That'll be me.
We need to recreate that at y'all's weddings.
Yeah, my all-inclusive resort.
Yeah, in Mexico, she's
Yeah.
on the beach like sipping.
But it works well too when we have partnerships because, the way that Jasmine and I have done it in the past is, Jasmine will, she picks up a buyer and she'll call and be like, hey, they're interested in this house. But I told
Like,
them,
hey, get it done.
yeah, get it done. She was like, I need you to get pre-approved because, I'm sure you've had plenty of experiences where people are heartbroken if they can't afford.
Yeah.
You just walk them through it like if I was your client, do I come up to you and I say, hey, I saw this house. Do you say like, are you pre-approved or like, how do you walk that?
Usually it'll be a random call and they're like, hey, I saw your sign and I really like this house. How do I get started? And I'm like, okay, so first I like to tell them like, let's get you pre-approved. Let me set you up with a lender and then we can go on from there. Most of the time they call me and they're like, hey, I want this also. And then they're like, yeah, I can get pre-approved for this. And I ask them for all the documents. And it seems solid because you're like, yeah, they'll get pre-approved. Then they do. And it's like, your credit's really bad. And your debt to income is, just too much. Like,
yeah.
And it really sucks because I think just people don't have the knowledge,
Yeah. And it's just important to, people come in and everyone wants the finer things in life and everyone will eventually get there. I would love to have the finer things at life at 26 years old, but you have to work at it. And that goes with the same with buying a house. When you look at a home, every home is different and every price point is different as well. So, if you're interested in starting the process, it's important to get pre-approved first, because if you don't, you could go and look at this, $500,000, $300,000 house and you're like, I love this. This is my home. And then when, that part of your brain turns on, you're like, I can see my
and then do
build
the
a
same
portfolio.
Do the same thing. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed though, and I don't know if y'all have noticed it too, I feel like first-time homebuyers when they're looking at homes, that 350 number is always the number that they go for. And I'm like, where is that coming from? Because I also had that same, when I looked at my first home, that was, my thought process too. And that wasn't in budget for our first home. We had to go lower than that to get where our payment was. But I'm like, where did that number come from? Why is everyone so stuck on that number?
I think it's just in the middle from like 200
to 5.
Yeah, to 5. So people are like, okay, I'll want something in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just like the houses are a little bit more decent. So I'll just stick to that.
It just depends. When we go through the loan application process, Jasmine sends someone to me, the application, I personally like to do it over the phone because then I get to know the person and kind of, you get to hear the parts that they're nervous about. Typically, questions get asked rather than filling it out on your own. It's not as personal. And I feel like you can make that connection when you do it over the phone.
I prefer when a lender does that.
Yeah.
When they call me and they walk me through it, I don't care if I've done it 100 times.
It makes you more comfortable.
It makes you more comfortable. And like, I mean, if you grab them at the start of the process, I mean, I've been talking to someone for 6 months and we'll close on their house next month. So I've really gotten to know this person.
Yeah.
You know, because they've gone and seen houses. I've done, you know, estimated mortgages for them. And so
I think also like a very important thing is like if you're even in, you know, credit repair and you're, you know, going towards that big step, save all your coins. Don't get any new debt. Like there has been situations where like we've been in credit repair.
Credit repair. Same thing. It's all credit.
For like 4 months. And then they're like, okay, you can get approved now. And they're like, hey, I don't have like the full amount. And I'm just like, okay, like start getting ready, guys. Like, let's,
I think the biggest is not getting new debts.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't know what is considered a debt. And so they'll be like, oh, well, I bought a couch. And I'm like, okay, well, but you financed that couch. And so that does count as opening a new line.
You never want to do that in the process.
No.
Because you know, we start with a soft credit check.
Yeah.
And so.
Which does not mean that you have your stuff.
Right.
Like you are not getting that loan just because of that. So we still have to do hard.
Yeah. We do it later on in the process.
That.
So you do the soft credit check and, you know, it's a way for us to see, for me to see your finances or not your finances, see your credit score, where it is approximately, and also see the debts as credit cards. If you own another home, if you own a boat, if you own a car,
a trailer,
any payment out there,
anything that you're financing.
Don't get a new trailer when you're buying a house.
Side by side, no payment, no payments, nothing with a payment,
a chair, anything. So
a
when
new
you
vehicle,
yes,
vehicles, stop it.
Stop. My mom has actually had like times where she was at the closing table and the buyer like pulls up in a brand new car and she's like, what did you do?
Yeah, well, because
I got a new car since, you know, we're getting a new house. I just went ahead and got the new car.
No.
She's like, shh.
Yeah, shh. Well, and we will
lower your voice.
I'll look into the camera. We will find out because
they will.
You do get a hard credit report when you start in the process. Like we won't do it until you get under contract. You know, it's something that you have to do. And let's say we close in a month. The day before you're closing, we're going to reissue that hard credit report to make sure that there's no extra debts, because the most important thing that we look at is your debt to income. We don't want you house poor. You can't be spending, you know, 50% or 55% if it's FHA over what you're bringing in. You go buy a car or even like buy your furniture, keep it in your Amazon like thing. Don't push pay until after you get the keys in your hand, because we will see it.
That's so funny because Gabe's like, let's go to Nebraska right there. And I'm like, the day after we close.
Yeah.
Literally.
Just
wait for them to file the paperwork. Just wait.
Just 24 hours.
I'm like, you can sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Yeah. Here's a blanket. That'll be your closing gift.
Yeah.
A blanket.
A blanket
and a futon.
What do you give your fiance for his closing gift?
Yeah. Like, just tell the realtor to give.
I'm the realtor.
You give him keys.
Yeah. Keys.
But it's true. Don't give him the big news. I'm moving.
And you pay half the mortgage. So. That's your gift.
Don't ever buy new. Don't ever buy new, because we will look. And so, I mean, in the process too, like we were talking about how it works, we get on the phone. I ask you about your income, what you do for work. We do look at a 2-year work history. If you change jobs, that is okay. As long as we, have consistency. We know people change. You move states.
What if I change during the application?
Do not change during the application.
Okay.
Let's wait. If that is something that happens, everything needs to be communicated. Like, don't hide, because when you are under contract, there are things that we look at. We do talk to employers. We do get a verification of employment to make sure that you're still working there. If something happens during the process, I hate to say it, we will find out. Everything that happens, we will find out.
Have you ever had like fake tax returns and stuff?
I have had fake tax returns.
Because we were like
wild.
5 days from closing. This was maybe 4 months ago. And the lender calls my mom. She's like, they're fake. She's like, you're lying.
See, mine weren't fake, but we had, they lied on their application and then lied on their tax return.
Oh no.
And so
It's so frustrating because you're like, we're about to close and I was so excited. You didn't have to lie. We could have found a way around it. Like,
yeah. But then at that point, what happens? Like, do you
it's just over. Like, it depends. Like,
there's some
could they reapply? Like, for real?
Well, there's some savings, and it's just really, it is dependent on each situation. Each situation is different.
Okay.
But it's just like, you know, usually if someone lies about something, there is a reason behind it. And so like trying to find out what it was. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's just best to be upfront and honest because like we are people that like, we want you in a house.
Yeah.
And
like we are here for you.
We're here for you. And that's our job. And like, I get so much joy when I get to see them, you know, sign the papers at the closing table because we help them get there. We can figure out we can figure it out. Hey, we can get you in this house, or let's make a 3-month plan, a 6-month plan, a year plan, and keep up with them.
I also love that about you guys because, like, you know, sometimes the lender's like, no, can't do it. You guys are like, let's start a plan. Let's see what we can do.
And do check-ins because, I mean, everyone wants to buy a house. This is the dream. And, like, there's no reason just because you know, credit score's a big thing or debts are a big thing. Hey, like, you know, even giving advice with, you know, okay, this might be a good step. This is a good step. You know, we have so many different programs. Just coming up with the plan is the most important because you don't want to tell someone no, and then their dreams are crushed and they're like, I'm going to have to rent forever. No, you don't have to rent forever. We have to rent for 6 months, maybe a year. The timing's not good. We'll figure it out.
If y'all had to give like pointers on, you know, my dream is to own a home in 6 months to a year. I mean, what are some pointers to get that started? Like, what should I be doing?
I think we have 2 different probably pointers because I'm more looking at the finance aspect of it. One for me, I think really it's very important to pay attention to your credit score. I think that, you know, just pay attention to your, not necessarily your spending habits. I mean, you always want to save for your down payment. You know, being a first-time home buyer, you can put 3% down or 3.5% down for FHA. So just having a little savings account that you keep, if you just add $100 a week or $100 each paycheck, you're saving towards your goal. Making sure that you're paying, you know, your credit is very important. Make sure that you're paying your credit card on time or your car on time and pay attention to those things. Don't open new lines of credit, don't buy a car, and then want to buy a house 3 months later. Because that really does have an effect.
How long after? So like say I started my new job, I bought a car. How long after should I wait?
I mean, it's really dependent on people.
Or does it matter? Does it not matter depending on my DTI? If I make enough and I went and bought that car, or is it just the inquiries? Is it the amount that I'm spending, or what is it that makes it?
So I really focus on the amount that you're spending. So you have your proposed housing expense, which means like what your housing expense may be, what your mortgage is. And we have to remember too, people that are first-time home buyers, you know, that also includes taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance. If you buy a house in HOA, it's not just rent. You have different aspects to it. So
and now there's the PID that they add on top of all of that.
Yeah, sometimes there's extra, you know, with those new builds that you have extra taxes.
Because I know our neighborhood, it's $200.
Yeah, and some they have mud tax on too, right?
And me and you just did one too that, you know, this beautiful house, but it was an extra $400 a month in a payment, and it makes or breaks a deal. It broke the deal just because it was $400 extra a month that was unexpected.
Yeah, but does that $400 last forever on stuff like that, or do those ever drop off?
Until they fight it, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Some drop off, some are forever. It just depends. But when it comes to with a car, you know, it just depends on your financial situation, and you know that car payment depends. I mean, I think car payments right now in the United States are a lot higher than they used to be.
You see them at like $500 easily.
We saw a stat the other day that it was like over 50% of Americans are paying like over $1,000 a month.
Really? It's not hard though, because if you're going to a $50,000 car, even $30,000 cars are still a $500 payment. So you go up a little bit.
It depends on their interest rate too.
True.
So it just depends, and those are things. So Like if you go buy a car, we're not saying absolutely don't go buy a house within 3 months. That's not the case at all.
Maybe you can afford it.
You can afford it. You just have to know your financial situation. And again, like I don't want you to be house poor. That's why you have to pay attention to debt to income. So it's just something that like, you don't want to be every single month be like, oh my gosh, can I pay my mortgage? You want it to be comfortable. So even maybe you can afford, to have that mortgage, but you don't want to. And that's a thing too.
So if I wanted to call y'all and, figure out a game plan of how do I know where my DTI is? How do I know where any of that is? Is that something that I have to have a credit pull for? Can I just call someone and say, hey, this is what my payments are on this to know if I would be a year out? Maybe I could buy a house in the next 3 months or start looking. Yeah. How do I know that?
So, how you would know is you start a application, and that's the ones I was talking about over the phone. You do also have the option to do it, online over the phone. And then another part of the process is gathering your income documentation. So if you're a W-2 employee, looking at your 2 years of what you made for W-2, and that's how I determine what your income is. And I work it and figure out, what is your comfortability.
She does her magic.
I do my magic and I put it all together.
But if I don't want to give you all those docs, like say I just want to keep it real high level.
Yes, in order to have a no. Well, it is yes and no.
Just to get an idea of what could possibly happen. How do I do that?
So to get an idea, you tell me the same information. We do an application, but another part of it also is there's two things. You have a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Pre-qualification is word of mouth. So you tell me you make $100,000 a year, I believe you, and I make it. Now, in order, if you want to turn around to Jasmine and go buy a house, you have to provide.
Do you feel like you run into that? A lot of people not being pre-approved, and so then
just because they don't know that they need to be. Okay. They think that they can find the house and then do it, but really you need to get the pre-approval first.
There's so you not as much education as you would think. I wish that now being in the industry and also was in the teaching industry, there is no classes in college or high school or even teaching little kids about savings accounts in 1st and 2nd grade about money. And I think that there is a lack of knowledge about the market and what to do in the steps. Now, people are always going to have questions, and that's what we're here for, or we wouldn't have jobs. Yeah. So but I do think that there is a little bit of a lack of education on how to get started, who to talk to, what does that mean? And so that's why, Jasmine will run into people that are like, oh, I think I can afford this house.
I just want a house.
I'm
like, okay, well,
I think too, it's like, because I took a class in college, it was like for statistics. And so they teach you about like PMI and all those different, how to calculate mortgages and how to do your insurance and all of that. But that's not a class that you are required to take, but I think it should be.
Yeah.
I really think it should be, because you at least know kind of how stuff works. Obviously, still, I needed to be walked through my own mortgage process and everything like that. But at least I had an idea
of different terms that you're going to hear.
And I think that's hard too, is how do we articulate to the client? I don't know. Do y'all ever find yourselves using like a term in the business to a client, and then you're like, oh, hold on, let me back up. And you have to almost dumb it down, or not dumb it down, but say it in simpler terms. Is that something that y'all struggle with sometimes, is getting that idea across to them without using terms in the industry?
That's where my teaching comes in. So that's where I'm like, oh, thank goodness that I went to education. But still, yes. I mean, because even sometimes too, a way to think about it, what I've run into is I explain something and I think I explained it really well. And then they're like, that doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Then like shifting your
need on my tire.
And that's what I feel like
she needed a torque. She needed a torque wrench. Did we come up with that idea? No, my husband told us that's what she needed.
Because I don't know. I was just like, I need to get this tire fixed.
Did you know that you have to so if you put on a tire, I thought you just screwed on the bolts. Apparently you have to have a certain wrench to make sure that the poundage,
it's 100. It was 100. I saw it on there.
The poundage has to be right, or else those little nut things could come off.
No.
I didn't know that.
But that's why I feel like it's the same with there's probably 10,000 topics that I have no idea about that I would love to learn.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But like, there's a few
100%.
things you can ask me about that. I'll be like,
I mean, even when Gabe talks about stuff about work, and I'm like, yeah.
I do find it weird, though, when you work in mortgage and real estate, you find experts in every other industry and people swear by them. But then it comes to our field, and especially being a woman, you tell someone something, and I've had this happen many of times. You'll tell someone something, they will go ask their mom, sister, brother, dad.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To like fact check you almost, even if they're not in the industry.
Oh, not just that. They you have the pre-approval done and you're showing them houses and you start the inspection process. They need everybody's opinion. I'm like, you're gonna be all confused.
Yes.
Yeah. I try to real compartmentalize that. So like, because that's the truth. Like, I'm like okay, I already told you, but like if you needed 5 opinions, then fine.
This one guy, he's in the inspection part, and he's like, "Well, my coworker said."
I hate when they do that, because I'm like, does your coworker work in mortgage or
that's
finance?
because that's what he did for his house. So that he bought 10 years ago.
Yes, right. Or they'll compare. So like they'll both be buying a house, and they'll be like, "Well, I didn't put that much down."
That happens a lot with new builds. Right now. So you have so many builders out, and they offer $399, right?
And she's throwing shots right now.
I love good $399.
No, $399. That's why I saw a 2.5 the other day, a 3, a 4, and like also $20,000 in closing costs. And then they come to us.
Oh, and then the realtor bonus on top.
Yeah, so, and it's like and it's like, well, I'm not gonna. You come to me and they're like, "Can you give me a $399?" I'm like, I cannot give you a $399.
But
that's not.
Someone is paying for that rate.
Well,
it just might not be you.
That's how it works.
It's the builder.
It's the builders, and so they what I've seen,
they roll it into your actual cost of your home.
If a house is worth $300,000, and the house is worth $300,000, they might move it up to $350,000, and so you are paying for that. I mean, a $399 rate is.
But honestly, when people see that $399 and they see their mortgage payment is $1,500, if that's what they can afford, I would be doing it too. Like, I'm not mad at them for it.
Sometimes too, you can always ask the builder and be like, "Hey, listen, I have my own loan officer. I'm going with them. Like, can you knock off the price of the house?" And I did one with my mom recently, and they went with a new build, and they went with us and they knocked $30,000 off the price of the home, and they still gave him $10,000 and still paid closing costs, because it actually saves. Have to buy the $399 rate.
My name is Kelsey Merchant with SurePath Lending, and if you need the right team, hit our partner up.
Call me if you want to buy a house in Wise County, Tarrant County, even Dallas.
And give me a call if you want a loan in Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma.